Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan, and that was absolutely ridiculous. That was one of the most ridiculous games I've seen in a long time. I'm not in the cockpit right now. I am on the couch. I am playing Dad right now, and we're watching Miss Rachel trying to keep the peace while Mom is at a wedding. But holy smokes, the Jets actually pull off a victory. They snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. They wind up, I mean, what were we 2 for 15 on third downs? It was 4 for 34 on the day for both teams. Sloppy game. Neither team wanted to win. And then talk about the injuries. Like this, how do you feel good if you're a Jet fan about this game? I mean, like, I'm sure Giant fans feel pretty awful being that they lost the game. But, like, from a Jets perspective, I don't necessarily feel that much better for where I was hoping to be after this game. I was hoping to feel confident. We're building some consistency with our offensive line, and then we lose our, center 1, our center 3, because we already lost center 2 in Tippmann, and now we're down to, Newsom. Okay. So lots of things to clean up. I think you have to be able to cut down on the penalties first and foremost. What were we, 9? I got to pull it up. I think it was 9 for 90 yards was the metric. It was 9 for 85 yards. 9 for 85 yards from the Jets. There were 6 for 73 yards for the Giants, with a lot of those yards coming on that final pass interference play there in overtime. I guess not overtime. What was overtime? Now I'm losing my train of thought on how the end of that game went. Definitely not what you want to see if you're the New York Jets, hoping to go into a stretch of games that you would conceivably think are a little bit easier with the Chargers, the Raiders, but holy smokes. Holy smokes. I can't believe that actually worked out. This isn't supposed to work out in the Jets' favor. We're always on the losing end of these things. But, hey, Jets are sitting at 4-3, right? So, glass half full. You got to figure out the red zone. This is unbearable. And it's Zach took a lot of bad sacks. Kayvon Thibodeau lived in his back pocket the entire day. Credit to the Giants defense for doing what they did all day. Throughout the course of the game, I felt like the Jets should have won that game. Like, you had the fumble from Zach early on. Like, it was Jets miscues. I shouldn't even say just Jets miscues, because that doesn't give credit to the Giants defense. They really pinned their ears back, and the Jets the offensive line had no answer for Kayvon Thibodeau, no answer for the Giants defensive line. Zach was running around. At one point, it was like some insane amount of dropbacks were considered pressures, and that's just not how you can conceivably win a game on a consistent basis. Now, luckily, we were playing a team that lost their second-string quarterback and had a guy they did not trust to throw the ball in Tommy, whatever the hell his name is, DeVito. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Cuddy comes in and says, change the field. Let's go, Jets. Bryce Huff is a beast. Bryce Huff is a beast. And look, I don't know if the injuries are from the field, but I am super taboo and super superstitious. So if the players want grass and the Jets and Giants are watching all these injuries happen on turf, just make the fucking switch. Got to make the switch. This is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. J-Boy says, 4-3 boys. They don't ask how. 4-3 boys. They don't ask how. How many. See you next week. Go Jets. J-Boy, I'm excited to see you at the Jets-Chargers game. We're doing our group buy. If you'd like to come join us and see the Jets get to 5-3, Jets-Chargers, Monday Night Football, talkingjets.com. You guys can head over there if you'd like to join us. We'll be tailgating, having a good time at the game. Nanga says, all footage of this game should be destroyed. Go Jets. So I do have my every throw video that I do have to edit. I haven't done it because of baby time and trying to organize everything. I'm literally like, one kid's throwing up on my shoulder while I'm trying to watch this game. It's kind of like a microcosm of like how the game actually went on the screen itself. You got to think most of you guys are probably throwing up at home, and I was getting thrown up on, and it's basically like watching the Jet Giant game. That's what it felt like. But yeah, we'll have I'll have the every throw up tonight at some point. Blitz Crew, worst game by far for Becton. I hope Tip is ready to come back next week at center. Zach's Cage got rattled today. Yeah, he doesn't trust his offensive line right now, and I don't blame him. He was getting fucking smacked around left, right, and sideways. Did not like that. Becton cannot handle speed rushers. You have to be able to give him help on that side. It sucks, but when Thibodeau's lined up over there, just pull a tight end on that side. I'm excited to go back and look at some of the tape and see how they adjusted, because it felt like there was like a lull period where it wasn't quite as awful, and it was more so just dropping passes and like not doing anything. Ugh. Statistics for the day. All right, let me pull these up. We've got the Jets had 251 total yards. 193 of those were through the air. The Jets held the Giants to a total of -9 passing yards. Rushing yards, Jets only had 58. The Giants had 203. Talk about a lopsided game. Like, all pass yards one way for the Jets, all rush yards one way for the Giants. Both teams ended around 200. Jets had 251 yards total. Giants had 194. First downs, both teams actually had 12 first downs. Jets were 2 of 15 on third down. You cannot have that. This continues. This has been a common theme over the course of the last few weeks. A lot of it has been self-inflicted from a drops, a penalty perspective. Today, the weather did play an impact. Zach didn't look very good. We'll go into his stats in just a second. Obviously, the Jets lost the 2 fumbles. Giants were 2 of 19 on third down. So at least the Jets defense was doing what they needed to do from that perspective. But again, you're going against a third-string quarterback at that point, because Tyrod got knocked out, ended the first half, roughly, beginning of the third quarter. Not good. Jets allowed 4 sacks. Jets also got 6 sacks. There was 24 punts. 24 punts in this game. It was the most punts in a game since I think they said 2003. It felt like that. It felt like this game set the NFL back fucking 50 years. Cuddy comes in and says, do we feel like an upgrade from Lazard at wide receiver 2? I do. So I would say this. I would definitely sniff around the wide receiver market. I have no problem adding an additional wide receiver, because I do think Lazard gave me a little bit of the not so great feelings today, especially the drop pass that Zach kind of put on the button. It was a 3rd and 10, I think, and he caught it for like 9.5 yards, and then it wasn't a catch because it did hit the ground. But yeah, Lazard has definitely left a little bit to be desired, and then he comes up big in like other situations. So I'm sort of torn, but I do feel like the Jets could add a little bit more firepower to the wide receiver room. It's just a matter of how much you want to give up. If you can give up a mid-round pick, I think you'd feel pretty good about that. If you get like a Cortland Sutton, DeAndre Hopkins, or like a Mike Evans, I want a bigger body guy. I don't necessarily want like a Jerry Jeudy necessarily. I wouldn't be against it, I guess. Good route running is good route running regardless, but I think that the red zone target's more where we kind of need to go at this point. Hybrid says, turned off the game after Zach sacked on 4th and 10, looked up at the score for shits and giggles, and saw we won in overtime, still can't comprehend. Dude, I have learned just not to turn the game off. That's where it comes from. I've seen so many ridiculous come from behind victories that I can't. I have to sit and watch. I don't blame you for turning off the game at all. This was a stinker of a game. I had friends that are Jet fans that texted me. They were like, oh my God, we won. I feel like I wasted 3.5, 4 hours of my day. And I get it. I 100% get it. That was an incredibly boring game. The NFL calls themselves an entertainment business. Well, that failed the test. Blitzcrew says, over 500 watching, 74 likes. Hit those milk thumbs. Boys and girls, hit the like button. If you want to support the stream, it helps the YouTube algorithm, which helps, everything and whatnot. It gets pushed out to more people. If you guys want to go a step further and you want to bet on some of the other stuff that's going on throughout the day, you can go down to Underdog Fantasy, link in the description down below. Use promo code JETS247. You get your first deposit matched up to $500. I've had a lot of fun with it. I'd show you my pick, but I don't have it up since I'm on the mobile version of what I'm currently doing here. But it's a good time. It's a lot of fun. So hit those milk thumbs if you are enjoying what you're seeing and you're happy that we're at least at 4-3 right now. Edward Ziff says, worse lost turned into a best victory. Go, Zach. So I like the way the game ended for Zach. I felt like, obviously, the Thibodeau wreaked havoc all game long and then winds up being the reason that one of the major reasons why they lost that, assuming Zach knew he had the free play. I haven't watched the Jets post game yet. I'll watch that a little bit later. But yeah, Zach gets the free play, rips the ball down the field, and then somehow, obviously like the clock stops there, so they don't have to run down and spike the ball, so you save time. You have 1 second left on the clock after the second catch, which is insane. I'm watching the clock go down. I'm like, okay, we just lost the game. We're gonna let the clock run out because we can't clock the ball and we can't kick the field goal. It's all gonna go. 1 second left. 1 second left. And then you go to overtime. As soon as we went to overtime, I felt like we won that game. I really did, because the Giants' offense was not getting anything going on the Jets' defense, and the Jets' defense just had to not shoot itself in the foot. So I shouldn't say I was confident the Jets were going to win. I think I was confident the Jets were at least going to tie, because I didn't have confidence the Giants were going to win that one. But man, yeah, that was a stinker of a game. Douglas comes in. Douglas says, I went from wearing a paper bag over my head in embarrassment to breathing into it to stop hyperventilating. Dude, I'm still in shock. Still in shock. I'm cursing at the top of my lungs, and my daughter's off to the side. She looks at me. She's like, what is going on? I was like, TV. Jets. She's just like, And then she throws her hands up in the air, looks at the TV, and I was like, all right, you get it. You're a Jets fan. So now she's having a little ice pop action, right? I see you. Little Miss Rachel action, too. Rafi comes in, says, absolutely need O-line help. Screw the wide receiver market. Yeah, that's a big thing, too. If you're looking at your offensive line, especially in what you diagnose Tippmann as. If you think Tippmann's coming back in the next week or so, I think you still have to add into your offensive line depth. But I think you don't have to hit the trade market for that. I think you should just bring in Lyle Collins at this point. What is the harm in doing that at this point in time? I would bring in Lyle Collins. I would have him be guard, tackle, whatever. Just offensive lineman. Fucking get ready. We're going to throw your fat ass out there. That's what's going to have to happen. But as far as trade goes, if there's an offensive lineman available via trade that you like, I'm 100% on board for that. David D says, congrats on the win. Fun watching with Green Bean. David D, glad to have you in here, dude. Congrats as well. Thank you. I get to ice pop with the yogurt left in the middle. I'm going to hold this one. Do you want to? I got a little juice pack. You want a little juice pack? Here. It's you. Just don't squirt it everywhere. All right, I'll hold your passy. There you go, kid. We'll see how long this live stream lasts, based on how long that snack pouch lasts. Joem, welcome to the economy class. Thank you for joining the channel, Joe. Much appreciated. Check out all your cool emojis that you get for supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Brett Larson says, why the Zach Wilson hate in the chat? Raining, no center, and zero interception, 0 run game, and won the game with the pass attack. Very few quarterbacks would survive this offensive line. Yeah, I don't think you can blame Zach 110% on this game. It didn't look good. He had a lot of bad plays in here. I'm not going to lie. There was some... He was running a little bit for his life, but he could have thrown away the ball. He took some bad sacks, primarily. Passing-wise, I didn't think it was awful. There was a few throws that were a little bit off their mark. He throws the one to Garrett on the sideline. If he throws it a little closer to the sideline, then I think you have a better shot at completing that ball. Garrett Wilson was wide open, and he wound up having to kind of come back up the field. Not up the field, back towards the interior of the field, and it wound up getting knocked incomplete. So Zach wasn't perfect. I don't think he was the major reason for everything stalling. I think a lot of it had to do with the offensive line play and the sloppy conditions with a quarterback that you're probably not 110% confident in all the time. Let's see, what did Zach finish with in terms of stats? So Zach finished 17 of 36, so just under 50% completion percentage, 240 yards, and a touchdown. It did feel 36 attempts plus sacks, right? There was 4 sacks, so he dropped back to pass damn near 40 times. That is a lot. He did have the 25 yards on the ground. He did have the long scamper of, I think it was 10 or 12 yards for the first down in the fourth quarter at the very end. All done with your juice pouch? Oh, no, you got some more in there. You're good. Look at this. Bam. Apple, sweet potato, blueberry. It's the good stuff, according to Shay. Here you go, kid. You got some more in there. Knock yourself out. Yes, quarterback play less than desirable, but I do think it wasn't the major reason the Jets lost. Jets won, or he's a major reason they won, and he's he wasn't the worst. Offensive line and penalties to blame for me. Blitzcrew says, turned it off with less than 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Went for an angry drive around after one song. I checked on the score and heard the tie and going into overtime. Blitzcrew, what are you doing? Everyone's giving up on our Jets. Everyone's giving up on our Jets. No one should be giving up on their Jets. Not with this defense. This defense is special. This team believes. This team believes. I don't blame you for turning it off, though. That was a stinker. Oop. Pause 1 second, boys and girls. We're going to have a brief intermission. I just got to grab baby 2. All right. So I actually didn't need to grab her. She just needed her pacifier, so she's good. Everyone's happy. Oh, man. Blitzcrew. At least she got to tune in before the game-winning kick there. Julian says, I'm a big Zach Wilson fan, and I was becoming very frustrated. Seeing him make those clutch throws was nice, but he has to be better. Yeah, I mean, it's the 4 quarters of play or the 3.5 quarters of play prior to the end of the game that like has to get better. You can't do what you did there. You got to be able to like actually move the ball and convert on first downs, convert on third downs. 2 for 17 or 2 for 15, whatever the heck the number was. Unreal. Cannot have the third down lack of efficiency if you're the New York Jets. You gotta get better at that. And look, I'm a Zach optimist. Believer is probably a little strong of a word, but I think he can do it. It's just, man, he's got to do it a little bit earlier in the game. Rafi says, Mekhi looked terrible all game. Offensive line is decimated. Jets need to bring in La'el Collins. He can't be much worse than the scrubs we currently have. I definitely feel the same way. There's no way that La'el Collins could possibly be worse than what we have sitting out there on the field right now. You're talking about a practice squad center, which, by the way, how do you not use Hennessy as your emergency center? He's your long snapper. By default, I feel like he should be able to do that. Now, maybe, is there like some concern that he might forget how far he has to snap the ball back and that will somehow make the kicking game worse? Which, thinking out loud, maybe there is some truth to that. All right, I'll take this. I'll give you back your passy. All right, trade. Where's this? Whoop. There you go. There you go, kid. Yeah, offensive line being decimated. Mekhi's always had issues with speed rushers. And Kayvon Thibodeau is fast, very fast. Now, you're going to have fast pass rushers on most teams. So how do you neutralize that if you're Mekhi Becton and the New York Jets? Do you give him help when that speed rusher is on that side? Just a tight end to chip before he runs out for his route? Especially if the tight end's not the primary read? I think that's how I'd handle that. You got to bring in La'el Collins, though. I'm in agreement. Cuddy says 6-1 minimum with Aaron Rodgers. Hype was real. The defense is legit. The defense is so legit, and I think there's a really good argument to be had for the Jets to be 6-1 right now with Aaron Rodgers. I think you probably beat the Chiefs. I think you probably beat the Patriots. The only game you feel that the Jets were clearly not in was the Dallas game. And that I think a lot of that had to do with losing Rodgers and the emotional roller coaster that came with the psychological aspect of losing your star quarterback that you just built all this hype around. So maybe not even losing him changes that game to some degree as well. Red John says, couldn't Lazard have just went down before that field goal? Went down before that field goal. As far as what? I don't know if I understand. Went down before the field goal? He couldn't have claimed an injury because that's a run off of time, if that's what you're suggesting. You'll have to clarify that a little bit. I don't really know what you're talking about there. Sorry, Red John. Absolutely nuts. Hennessy is a tight end. Yeah, but if he's our long snapper, why not use him as our center, right? I would think he can snap the ball. Even if he can't block that well, it's got to be better than some of the snaps we saw today. 210. Yeah, I don't know what a center usually is. I think 280 was considered light, if I remember correctly, with Linderbaum when he was coming out. That was the knock on him, right? All right, what else you guys talk about here? Jesse P says Giants were afraid to put the ball in the air in the second half. Yeah, I mean they played like they had Zach Wilson at quarterback to some degree. You clearly don't trust your third string quarterback. You're not going into the game thinking you're going to have to utilize him at all. So I think that's clearly part of the problem. Wimmy says just hit me. We have a 3-game win streak. That just hit me too. Glass half full, my friend. Shay, high five. Jets are on a 3-game win streak. Look. Tell the people you say hi. See? You got high five? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See? Having some excitement over here in the Jets Talk household. Shay, you want to come up and sit? You can sit with me if you'd like. Can wombo combo this stream. Need a co-pilot. All right. All right. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Blitz Crew says Hennessy is a long snapper, size 6'2", 246. Not sure he can hold up at center on the regular. This should have been a Bawden game. Interesting. So Bawden running up the as with a fullback, not so much as a center, I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't know. I just want someone that consistently snaps the ball, and Hennessy feels like that would have been I guess not the right move. Because could you imagine if he's like, oh, now I got to snap from the shotgun, and now I got to snap, as if, or like Zach under center, and now I don't know how to snap to a field goal or a punt. I guess that you don't change a broken formula when your best scoring option is your kicker. And holy hell, Morstead. Morstead had a hell of a game. MVP for today, Morstead was. Darrell said, felt mad about Gibbs down, kept Hardman. I am glad Gibson came back. That was a big part of this whole puzzle. He had the ability to kind of break open the special teams, and when he went down, I was just like, I had the same thought as you. Just, oh no, we shouldn't have given up Hardman. What'd we do? We screwed up. Hulk Smasher Mom says, Gano's new name is Gano Leg. As soon as he kicked that, and it kind of wobbled, I saw McDonald jump over the center. If he had kicked that straight, I think McDonald blocks it either way. So it's not even necessarily that he shanked it, but McDonald jumping over the center. He should be doing that in every kick, every single kick. He's that athletic. Go have him do it all the time. Brian, thank you so much for joining the membership tier. I wish I had my little alarm buttons that I could do to make a sound, and I don't. But thank you. Rafi Sanders says, screw it. Bring Nick Mangold out of retirement. Yeah, sorry, Nick. We know you're about to get into the Hall of Fame next year, but we're going to need you back. You're going to need to come back for a little bit. We're going to have to put your Hall of Fame ceremony on a 5-year wait list. That's okay. I would pull him out, right? We had, who's the guy we got? Ryan Khalil we pulled out of retirement. That didn't really work out for us. But Mangold, I trust him. Julian says, do you think if Zach makes those clutch throws, his place would be up for grabs for the next game? I was talking to some of my friends. I was like, yo, you got to get Zach out of the game. I would have to imagine some people were kind of feeling that way, but I don't necessarily know if Simeon is a better option right now. Some of the things Zach did at the end of that game are the reason why we won it, even though the things at the beginning part of the game where he couldn't complete third downs was part of why we were in that position in the first place. So I don't really know the full concrete answer to that, but I think I would be rolling with Zach into the Chargers game and then see how he operates under some better weather conditions, because this was a sloppy game. This was like a full team thing. They tried very much to not necessarily have Zach throw a whole lot, and they seemed very content to try to win that game 7-3. And when Jermaine Johnson caused that penalty on the field goal, that was a big no-no. And unfortunately, this is becoming a trend with our defense in general. Not just Jermaine Johnson, but we seem to have inopportune penalties that cause us a whole bunch more headaches than we really need, both on offense and defense. Blitzcrew says, who is backing up Gibson as a returner? I saw DJ Reed in there as a punt returner, but I would hope it would be someone other than Reed. I don't want to see Reed returning kicks for us. I feel like there's too much value in him as a corner to risk him out that way. I would even put back, like, I think Hardy was taking a few reps at one point. Tony Adams might have taken some reps in training camp. I'm trying to think who else I saw other than Hardman and Gibson. I mean, if you trust someone that you could pull up from the practice squad, you just need someone to fair catch it. I don't necessarily need returns, as long as you don't cause penalties and cause fumbles and massive plays like that. I think I'm okay. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure who it's going to be. I don't want it to be Reed. Jetpack, what's up, brother? Thank you so much for the super chat. You know what effing it's... What? You know what fucking it is, baby. JETS, Jets. 3-game win streak going into November. Borstead and Zerline are GOATs. Let's keep this party rolling, boys. This team has got real life. Let's effing go, Ryan. JETS, Jets. Can you give me a high five? High five? Look at that emotion. That is the emotion that this game deserved. Oh, let's go. I'm excited. Jets Chargers. We have a chance to go to 5-3 now. Let's go. I don't care. A win's a win. It's just got to look better. No one counts it at the end of the season. No one's going to be looking and say, oh, that was a really bad win. You're not making the playoffs because, that other win doesn't count. Counts. All the wins count, boys and girls. V-Man says, WTF was the Giants' offense overtime play calling. They bailed us out. I mean, they clearly did not trust DeVito. There's no way you go into overtime if you're the Giants. Like, you knew as soon as the Jets kicked that field goal, you're like, we're screwed. Like, unless Barkley rips off a big run, Giants were screwed. There was no offense to speak of once Tyrod Taylor went out, other than Saquon Barkley. So the Jets just committed against the run, and they didn't trust DeVito to throw the ball. Or at least trust our corners to make sure an undrafted free agent quarterback could not lead them down the field. And Jets defense came up big. Play calling was definitely suspect on the Giants side of things. They played not to lose, I guess, is the old term that I used to hear talked about for the New York Jets. We used to run the ball a lot, and then we'd wind up shooting ourselves in the foot, and the other team would hang around the entire day, and then wind up winning in the end. So Jets were on the winning end of this one. Kind of nice. Jetpack comes and says, every win requires a torn Achilles going forward. Did we actually lose someone with the Achilles? Was it, did we use Wes? Cousins tore his Achilles too, I saw. What else are you guys saying in here? Al Wood's injury, was he the Achilles? Who tore the Achilles? Someone's got to tell me, because I don't actually know. Barney comes in and says, that high five deserves a super chat. Go Jets. Hey, see you. Whoa. I'll get you an ice cream with that one. You earned that one. Sound good? Miss Rachel's on. She is not dialed in, but she'll get an ice cream for that one. Ren's a little too small to have ice cream still. But thank you. Much appreciated. Al Woods, torn Achilles. Rats. Not great. He was having a good season, too. Man, we were just, tearing Achilles to just try to win games. By this time, can we get some undrafted free agents to tear some Achilles, not some, not going to say that out loud. Let's reverse that. Can we get some players that are non-super important to us winning games to tear Achilles? Not undrafted free agents. We got some good undrafted free agents on this team. That would be horrible if I just jinxed us for that. Brian says, I'm near 66. This is our year. Fingers crossed. It feels like it. If we could just get Aaron Rodgers back, it feels like this can be our year. Feels like it could happen. Kelvin says, special teams victory. Completely agree. Brian says 12-5. Your lips to God's ears, my friend. Jason says, the best way not to lose is to score some friggin' points. Completely agree. The Jets tend to, sit on a lead. Like in the past, it was sit on a lead and then just don't try to score more points. It was, just try to do what you did enough. And then don't lose the game. All right, you going down? You going down? Just don't tip over. Mom will be mad at me. Can't do that. Yeah, come over here. Oh, all right. She's on the move. Kelvin says, poor on Giants for not comparing their backup. Preparing their backup, I think is what you meant to say. Sorry, Shay. Let me rotate this in such a way. Oh, I need to, like, move this. I have to be like this to not be in there. All right. Blitzcrew says, TB12 has 2 Achilles that need to be donated to Jets W's. Yes, let's take Tom Brady's Achilles. What do you think, kid? We'll take Tom Brady's Achilles. We'll just lose both of them. I'm sure we could do that to a few other division rivals, too. They don't need them. Brian says, I had an Achilles tendon to repair my patella tendon. Thanks for donating whoever he was. Donate organs. Yeah, you got to donate your organs. Yeah, I mean, I guess you don't have to, but it's a good thing to do. Save people. I'm a fan of it. And you could be like McLovin. Ha! Organ donor. Douglas comes in and says, can we get a Team Achilles surgery punch card, get 3 speed bridge procedures, get the 4th one free? It certainly feels like it. Like, all these dudes that are watching Rodgers come back from this type of surgery right now have got to be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go wherever he went to get his surgery done out in California. And I think it's probably a good move for people to do that. The speed bridge at least appears to be working as it should. Jesse P says, the Jets were like, to score points, we do not know. We don't know how to score points. We have a very tough time trying to figure out how to score points. Cuca Lake says, bring back the Carcucci board. I would love to see Smart back. I would love to see that. Tanzel would be a lot of fun to have back in here. Miramax says, Jets have devastating injuries every year. Lost AVT and Brees last year on grass. Yeah, it's not just turf, but the argument that people make for grass is that by playing on turf, like the Jets play 8 or 9 games on turf a year, and that wear and tear could lead to injuries on grass that otherwise wouldn't have happened if you played all your games on grass. So that it's a weird kind of compounding effect on joints. So it doesn't necessarily have to happen on turf, but there's definitely there's never been research done, to my knowledge, that shows less injuries on turf. It's always been the opposite. Juan says, a lot of drops today and injuries. Zach played terrible today, but not 100% on him. Hackett needs to help him out with better play calling, with better protection. He took some big shots. Yeah, Zach definitely felt like he got his cage rattled a little bit today. I think a lot of that had to do with the offensive line out in front of him, and then the Giants' defense just playing well. The Giants' defense has a really good pass rush. Kayvon Thibodeau is a really good player. Devontae says, yes, the penalties killed us. The O-line didn't give him time, but there were times where he had a clean pocket. Hackett and Zach have to be better. You can't be 2 for 14 or 2 for 16 or whatever we were on 3rd down and be proud of whatever the offense achieved today. So I agree with you. I think Hackett and Zach do have to be better. Even with all the stuff going on, there has to be some accountability. Or maybe not accountability, but there has to be some awareness like, hey, we need to be better because this is not acceptable against a much better opponent coming in next week in the Chargers. Pharisees, can we take a moment to praise Garrett Wilson? The dude, more effort in on Yak than anyone I've ever seen. Garrett Wilson is an absolute freak and deserves every single touch from a wide receiver's perspective. Like, when we have plays where we run a 3rd or 4th down play and it doesn't go to Garrett Wilson, it super irks me. Like, this guy's so good. Every critical pass needs to go to him. Jason Edwards, I want to talk to you. I saw your comment that said facts, but accept the tickets that I sent you. I sent you I think it was you. I sent tickets to, it was one of the Jasons, I think. Might have been another Jason. Check your email for a Jets client relation thing. Make sure you accept the tickets before next week for the game. Mike says, sounds like Cousins went down with Achilles injury today. Yeah, it sounds like torn Achilles. I mean, I guess he could be back for the beginning of next year, assuming he gets the surgery that Rodgers did. But that's just brutal. Terrible. I feel bad for Cousins. Oreo says, Salah was struggling answering questions about Zach. Had the Jets lost this game, we'd be calling for Zach Wilson to be benched. Reminds me of last year's Pats game. Bad sacks, not seeing the field, holds the ball. I completely agree. That's exactly what today's game felt like. Today's game felt like it was more... it felt like we could never get our footing at any point during the game at all. Like, until the overtime drive. Like, once we went to overtime, I was like, okay, the Jets should win this game. Or at the very least, we should tie it. Like, I don't think the Giants should be able to win it. But the whole game felt just incredibly frustrating. Jets gang comes in, says, Zach hit big throws. He did. And that's what's so frustrating. Is he has these wow moments. And then he has moments that just leave you scratching your head. What's up, kid? Want to come up? Come on up. Come hang. All right. What else we talking about in the chat? Oreo says, I'll say this. Garrett Wilson's a special man. If I'm Zach Wilson, Garrett Wilson is my first, second, and third option before I look to anyone else outside of Garrett, and sometimes Conklin need an upgrade for the wide receiver spot. I also want to see Brees out there on critical downs. Like, going into those final drives, Michael Carter, I don't believe the final drive. I think it was the one just before the 2-play drive where we didn't think we were going to get the ball back after the it was just before the field goal attempt for the Giants. The possession before that, Brees wasn't on the field, and I was like, this is kind of critical, at least on, was it first down? I don't know. But I feel like Garrett and Brees are the two guys you got to focus in on. I don't want to see too many balls going to, Lazard. And what was that? There's throws out in the flat to Conklin instead of Brees and Garrett. And some of this stuff gets me frustrated. Yeah? You don't say, Shay. You don't say. I apologize for the audio quality and some of the slappy clicking that's going on. Oh, you don't sound so good. Farvian says, Zach put up 240 yards in the rain with bad offensive line play in a game that Brees had 17 yards running on 12 carries. Let's stop this week-to-week talk. Zach is the guy. Yeah, but he also had 53 of those yards from Brees Hall because of Brees Hall's running ability. He threw that ball like 3 yards, and Brees took it the other 47 yards. So, really, yes, Zach had 240, but it's not fair to say Brees only had 17 yards when he had 53 of the yards, or 50 yards, whatever it was, for the touchdown that he had. Blitzcrew says, I hear a market is there for Michael Carter. If no one is biting on Cook, maybe trade him to get Izzy some touches. Yes, I would be okay moving on from Michael Carter at this point. I was holding out hope because of his leadership and everything, and I have no problem with that. I like his leadership, but he has just had too many bad plays. Running out of bounds before the half, inexcusable. You have to know the downs and distances and what your responsibilities are. You're just trying to get out of the half. You're lucky the Giants didn't score any points because you ran out of bounds. Very, very dumb mistake by Michael Carter, and he's had a few drops in the past few weeks as well. So if you can't get someone to bite on Cook, I'm cool with getting someone to try and bite on Michael Carter. I think that would be a fine move. Good point, Blitzcrew. Let's see. Brian asking, does Hackett hate tight ends? Feels like it, right? Hey, Clicky. You just like clicking buttons? Oh. This stream may not last long if the computer turns off midstream. Let's go over here. Let's stand up. We'll go stand up. See, watch this. Now we're going to do... All right. Going to do a little standing action. Boom. You guys may have remembered this angle from the pregame stream. All right. Dedication. Blitzcrew says, FYI, 2 missed super chats earlier. Ooh, I did. Okay, let's see. All right. Go run around, kid. What did I miss? What did I miss? I gotcha. Everyone requires a torn Achilles. High five deserves a super chat. TB12 to Achilles. The punch card. If Woods is out, I hope Smart is back, says Blitzcrew. I really do like that. Oh, yeah, and Julian, Elijah Moore, no catch today so far. Trade demand. Yeah, right? I hope Elijah Moore demands a trade to get traded from the Browns. Blitzcrew, thank you so much for catching that for me, because I was a little preoccupied, should we say? All right. I think this stream isn't going to go much further. So I'll go as long as I can until I start getting the waterworks over here. Brian says, need receiver that will catch up the middle. I want a big body threat. I want a red zone target. I really do. Yo, who's doing TikTok dances in the window? That is Miss Rachel. I'm going to get a copyright infringement for Miss Rachel being like in my window right now. That's pretty funny. Jets Gang says, then Garrett and Lazard drops. Zach has 300 yards. Yeah, hey, look, if they catch the ball, and I don't know, Garrett had a drop, but it was a weird drop where he was like defensed because it was a poorly thrown ball. I think that's the one you're talking about, the deep one towards the sideline. But it is a good point. If Zach puts that ball a little bit more on the money, we're talking a little bit more yardage for him. Elissa, what's up? Says Thomas Morstead, low-key team MVP so far. He has been clutch. Him and Zerline. Special teams has been legit so far this season. Let's see. Johnny says, it reminds me of the brutal 1996 Jets-Giants game. Kill me. Hey, at least we won this one, right? Michael says, ugly one, but a W is a W. Hope Tippmann is back next week. Yeah, I mean, the reports that we had on Tippmann leading into like last week made me feel like he was definitely either going to IR or, let me see if I can turn this light off. Had me thinking he was going on IR or that he was going to be out a significant amount of time. But if he could be back next week, that is a huge lifesaver. That's almost like getting a traded 4 interior offensive lineman at the trade deadline by virtue of when he's coming back. And then you get Dwayne Brown back as well. So maybe Dwayne Brown winds up kicking inside. Would he be able to learn how to play guard? Jason Peters, at like 39, 40 years old, whatever it was, played guard for the Cowboys. So I don't see why it can't happen now. Never too late to learn. I don't want to hear that old dog new tricks thing. Rise of the New York Jets says Carl Lawson being inactive today should clear the way for a trade. I would like to see him moved, but if there's anything that scares me, it's seeing last week with all the injuries to the secondary and this week with all the injuries that we started to have pile up. All we need is like an injury to a Bryce Huff or Jermaine Johnson or a JFM, and then you're like, okay, I really wish we had Carl Lawson. So I don't think we gain a whole heck of a lot in terms of salary cap space by moving on from him. But I'm okay with not having maybe a disgruntled player in the locker room that wants to see the field a little bit more at a position that we are rich at. But depth is definitely a little bit of concern whenever you're seeing all these guys go down with injury. Bradley says, if the end of the first half at Denver didn't happen, we don't win this football game. If the end of the first half at Denver didn't happen. End of the first half at Denver. What am I missing here? If the end of the first half at Denver. I'm going to need some decoding here. I'm missing something right here. I'm thinking it's an offensive line comment. Oh, I got you. The clock, because we goofed during the Denver game, we didn't goof it now, and everyone was ready to go. There you go. I think that's what he's talking about. Spike timing, says Bradley. I like that. That's a good way to think of that. Mentioned it before, but yes, Mr. Wrecked, Al Woods out with a torn Achilles. Absolutely brutal. He was having a really nice season. Blitzkrieg says Lawson is not contributing when on the field, not worried about trading him. That's not too bad. I have to get my charger. Pause. Glad this was downstairs. All right. Dilly Aesthetics says, give Zach another year. He at least has shown some growth. It's been slow, but the kid is 24, man. Not everyone is a superstar out of the gate. So he's got a lot of talent, and the whole plan was to have him sit behind Aaron Rodgers. So I'm really hoping Aaron Rodgers gets back as soon as possible because I would really like to get him on the field in general and just to have Zach starting to learn behind someone that has done it forever. Yeah, I don't know. Randilla says Woods was an important player, big loss. Yes, he has had a really, really good season. Him and Jefferson have been great ads for the Jets this offseason. Vinictus says, could you imagine if the Jets had traded for Cousins and he snapped his Achilles with us? Dude, I was thinking that as soon as my buddy texted me, and I was like, this is not funny. Of course, I'd be like, oh, yeah, sure, we got to trade for Cousins. Then Achilles just pops on the dude that we give up like a first-round pick for. Oh, man. Brian says Jets should sign Ben Jones. Yeah, he had a concussion in the offseason. I think that's why he wasn't moving real quick. But at this point, just sign anyone that has taken actual snaps. Anyone that can actually take snaps is what I want. Shane says, can you now admit Salah is a joke? He sits there like a sad puppy while his players make dumb penalties and won't yell at them and continues to prove he can't coach during their bye week. I'm not agreeing with that whatsoever. I'm not. There is some onus on the players to, hey, don't hit the quarterback while he's being tackled. Like, unnecessary roughness and protecting the quarterback is one of the key attributes to the NFL. And if you can't figure that out, Jermaine Johnson, you need to be better. That's on you. That's not on Coach Salah. Now, overall, 9 penalties for 85 yards. That is very, very bad. Not good. You have to clean that up. You cannot have that against better teams. Douglas says Zach is like a student that fails a class all semester, then passes the comprehensive final to get full credit. Yeah, it's one of those pass-fail classes that you're failing the entire year, but the final is weighted so heavily that you just show up and like get a 65 and you wind up passing the whole class. Blitzkrieg says, I really wish we could see McDonald on the field. That was stupid penalty by Clemens. So we did start to see McDonald on the field. I just don't know what his snap percentage was. I didn't pay that close of attention to it. I saw him on the field. He was on the left-hand side. I don't know if that really matters, but I saw him towards the end of the game. I do want to see him get on the field a little bit more. I want to see some speed. But the Jets have to start scoring points to be able to use your pass rushers. Right now, we're not really able to take full advantage of what our defense is capable of doing because our offense can't score any points. Candle Jack says, Zach, 70%, 30%, stink, great. I don't get it, but we won. Dude, I'm right there with you. I have no real rational way to wrap my head around why he's so up and down. It's a very, very odd situation with Zach. We got the win today, so that's all that matters. And you hope that when you have close games like this, you find a way to pull it out. But you're not going to face third-string quarterbacks all the time, like DeVito. So the Jets are going to have to figure it out, which oddly enough, I guess it depends on what happens with the Raiders and Jimmy G if he's still knocked out for our game in 2 weeks. But we got Herbert and the Chargers coming to town. It's not going to be bright if you're not going to score any points. That is a high-octane offense the Chargers have. David D says, didn't catch the entire game. Did we get a roughing the passer call finally? Not in favor of us. we screwed up a few times. At least once. I don't know what the other ones were. Off topic, but Will Levis had a great game today, but apparently he puts mayo in his coffee. He does put mayo in his coffee. It's super weird. But good for him. I'm glad he had a good game. Jets Gang said Zach had a better game versus the Giants in the rain, better than Josh Allen. All right, well, I guess now you're making me feel a little bit better, right? Like, glass half full. Jesse P says Zach has been great in the 2-minute drill all season. Yeah, I don't know if it's like a prevent defense that he's going up against in those sort of situations, or if he just thrives in like fast-paced offenses, but I would like to see more of it. Ronald, Jets fans are idiots. I'm out. Yeah, that's us. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. Zach was great for 24 seconds and a couple of plays in overtime. Yes, he was not. I would not say a great 70-30 like that other super chat said earlier. Jets Gang says Taylor was horrible, man. Ain't have no passing yards, and people saying trade for him. Who's saying trade for Tyrod Taylor? Is anyone actually saying that? Stop this. Ben Holmes, Zach is dumb as a rock, and that's why he plays better when he has no time to think. I don't think he's dumb as a rock. I think he's gun shy. He doesn't want to make the critical mistake, I guess. Brian says Ben Jones knocking at the door. Got to get some kind of offensive lineman in here. Joe M says Zach isn't going to make it all season if he keeps getting wrecked. He's getting shot after shot. I give him credit for standing in there. The kid is gutsy. I like him. I'm hoping he can kind of turn things around and at least be a serviceable backup. Rise of the New York Jets says, let's hope it doesn't rain at MetLife next Monday night. Yeah, fingers crossed. I haven't looked at the radar or what the tentative forecast is, but I'm going to guess 100% sunny. 200% chance of rainbows. And a Jets victory. At night, I might add. Pharisee says, also, I'm not from New York, but I'll certainly be walking around letting people know the Jets own New York. Ah, that makes me feel good. Good. Julio Rivera, has anyone been aware of how predictable our offense is? Run. Game plan gets an F. I want to see more passes on first down. I want to see, they clearly decided because of the weather, Brees was going to get fed the ball. And I don't disagree with it. It's just that the Giants knew that's exactly what was going to happen. So how do you neutralize that? Some of that is with screenplay. I think trying to run screens when you have an offensive line that's Swiss cheese is probably a little tougher from a communication standpoint. I don't know. It's frustrating. I don't want to see this type of game again. Matthew Blackburn says, when I see that many penalties, I look right at Sal, and if we lost today, half of us are calling for his head. I still don't call for Sal's head. I think Sal is a pretty good head coach, and the fact that players do want to come here to play for him is a big part of why I do like him. And the defense has been so stout. He's got his fingerprints all over it. So even with the penalties, they've been one of the least penalized teams like all year. That's the thing. So one bad game after a bye, is it on him or is it on a lack of concentration from the players that caused the penalties? I would argue the latter. Kyle Berlin says, Sam Howell 3 touchdowns, Will Levis 4 touchdowns, Zach Wilson finally has over 200 yards. Yeah, you got to start thinking, does Trevor Siemian provide anything more? I don't think the Jets are going to rock the boat. I think they're going to keep Zach there as long as they're winning, even if it's like this kind of winning, like winning in spite of Zach. I don't know if it was so much winning in spite of Zach today, but winning in spite of like the offensive line and Zach and the penalty. This was almost like a team loss, like a pretty outside of the defense. The defense played their asses off. Radimus says, Zach haters are low IQ bums. I understand the hate for Zach, but he's our quarterback. He's not going anywhere. People just got to get over it. Nick says, Ryan, you got to love Zach's free play. I loved it. As soon as I saw Thibodeau jump off sides, I was like, it's a free play. Just throw it down the field. It doesn't matter. Just don't get sacked. Just let it go. Bomb the field. Bomb it down the field. I was freaking out. So I'm hoping he knew it was a free play because then there's like that little extra level of like, aha, I got them. I'll have to watch his postgame. I'm sure they brought it up at some point. But yeah, loved it. Zach's had guys jumping off sides consistently this year. I've really enjoyed it. What's up, Shay? Come on, monkey. All right, let's see. Radman says, exactly, support your effing quarterback. Oh, okay. Hey, you want to do some dinner now? All right. Let's do this. Let's say bye to the chat. All right, we're not feeling good. I won't put you on camera, kid. All right, Jets beat the Giants. Better team prevails. We are the Kings of New York. 13-10. That's right in overtime. Never doubt, boys and girls. I know, I'm sad. I just want to see offense too. I love you so much. All right, this is Jets Talk signing off. Ready to have some bottles and pacifiers and bedtime. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.